Incredible discovery: heartwarming black janitor unknowingly aids hidden billionaire's mother. In the colossal heart of New York City, Henry, a 42-year-old black janitor, zipped through the glass towers, his humble mop and bucket swaying in rhythm with the world of high stakes and high rises surrounding him. Each night, as the sun melted into the horizon, he polished the very offices of the elite, the lights twinkling above him like stars that felt just out of reach. After hours of grinding, he'd return home, exhausted but fulfilled, to care for his ailing mother who had always whispered truths about kindness and hard work. She was his anchor, a beacon of compassion in the storm of life. One night, while scrubbing down the offices of a powerful investment firm, Henry caught snatches of a hushed conversation between co-workers discussing a secretive woman. "She's lost everything," one murmured, their voice laced with pity. "Her son never calls." A knot tightened in Henry's chest. His mother had faced her own struggles, and he felt an immediate tug on his heart. The lonely whispers of this woman resonated with the echoes of his own family's past. Intrigued, Henry sought out stories of this mysterious figure, uncovering a woman whose wealth could fill the Empire State Building, but whose heart ached for connection. Underneath opulent suits and classy decor lay an aching soul longing for companionship. He found himself drawn to her, desperate to share warmth in an unforgiving city. Their paths crossed amidst the chaotic streets, and the laughter they shared felt like sunlight bursting through clouds. Yet, every moment of joy seemed challenged by the invisible walls society had built, the barriers of wealth and privilege that emphasized their differences. As fate would have it, Henry's kind heart soon landed him in troubled waters. He intervened in a matter concerning her son, a slick billionaire known more for his fortune than his kindness. Misunderstandings flared, and the son, blinded by preconceptions, dismissed Henry from the building one fateful night. It felt like a slap. His community's whispers flooded his ears, and the kindness he had worked to cultivate now hung in the air, ready to unravel. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by indignation but more so by hope, Henry organized a rally in his tightly knit community, aiming to reclaim his dignity and showcase the essence of humanity that transcends wealth. Friends, neighbors, and those feeling overlooked gathered, sharing powerful stories of resilience and compassion. The atmosphere buzzed, the air heavy with anticipation. This rally wasn't just about him, it was a fight against the coldness of wealth, a celebration of shared humanity that sent ripples through the heart of the city. As the moment approached when he would share his journey, trials, triumphs, and the lessons gleaned from his mother's love, an unsettling figure appeared at the back of the crowd. The air turned tense. Who was this stranger, and how would they challenge everything Henry had dreamed of? With hearts pounding and anticipation thick around him, Henry felt the stakes rise. Would love and compassion bridge the divide of class and ego, or would this rally, built on hope, shatter before it could ignite a change? Henry's heart raced as he spotted the solitary figure in the crowd. The man, tall and dressed in an immaculate suit, stood out like a jagged rock in a sea of hope. The murmurs rippling through the rally allowed a hush to settle over the gathering, tension wrapping around them like an uninvited guest. Henry grasped the microphone more tightly, steadying himself as he spoke. Thank you all for being here. Today, we gather not just to share our stories, but to remind the world of our shared humanity. His voice carried the weight of many struggles, and as he glanced around, the familiar faces of friends and family inspired him to push on despite the unease. The stranger's piercing gaze bore down on him, igniting a flicker of doubt in Henry's hopeful heart. Why was he here? What did he want? As he spoke of compassion and perseverance, Henry noticed the stranger flipping through his phone, barely paying attention. Frustration surged within him. This was a man of privilege, one who had likely never known the depths of hardship. Every one of you has a story, Henry continued, his intensity building. We are not defined by our bank accounts or our addresses, but by how we treat each other. He could feel his own mother's words echoing in his mind. Kindness mattered more than wealth. Each word seemed to fill the air with warmth, but the stranger's presence darkened the mood again. Suddenly, the man stepped forward as if propelled by some inner force, cutting through the palpable energy of the crowd. "This is all well and good," he said, his voice smooth but laced with arrogance. "But what do you really know about struggling? About true loss?" Gasps erupted among the attendees, and their faces shifted from hope to uncertainty as they struggled to comprehend this interruption. Henry felt anger rise within him. Who was this man to question their experiences? Getting closer, the stranger continued, "You think this rally will change anything? People like you rally against the system instead of trying to be part of it." He gestured disdainfully at the gathering, eyes filled with condescension. Before Henry could respond, a strong voice from behind him called out, "How can you say that? We're fighting for all of us." It was Maria, a local activist, with fire in her eyes. The crowd's spirits lifted as they rallied behind her words, cheering and chanting in concert. Henry felt hope begin to bloom again, but the stranger remained unfazed, his lips curling into a smirk. "What if I told you that your fight is pointless? That you're merely pawns in a game you cannot win?" A sudden hush followed, the unity of the crowd challenged by doubt. Henry's heart raced at the prospect of loss. The struggle for dignity and love seemed fragile, hanging by a thread. He thought of his mother, battling her own demons. How would she face such a challenge? With a deep breath, Henry straightened. His voice was steady. "You might see us as pawns, but we are something far greater. We are a community, a force that cannot be underestimated. Together, we can redefine what power means." As he spoke, he looked straight into the stranger's eyes, daring him to understand. The crowd erupted in support, their solidarity a courageous shield against negativity. Yet doubt still lingered in the air. Just as the rally began to regain momentum, the stranger reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope, a smirk still dancing on his lips. "Perhaps I've misjudged you all. Let us see if this changes your perspective." Henry felt the weight of every eye on him, the tension thickening again. What was in that envelope? Was it a threat, an offer, or something else entirely? As the crowd fell silent, he realized the stakes had risen higher than he had ever imagined. With bated breath, Henry prepared to confront whatever twist was about to unfold. Would this rally transform dreams into reality, or would it spiral into an unexpected confrontation? Only time would reveal the truth hidden within that envelope. Henry felt his heart thump wildly in his chest. The world around him faded into a blur, the cheers of support from the crowd slowly dimming as his full attention fixated on the man before him. The tension was electric, and he desperately wanted to snatch that envelope from the stranger's hands, to tear it open and see the contents laid bare. What secrets could it possibly hold? "Are you really going to threaten us with that?" Henry shot back, trying to mask his uncertainty with bravado. The stranger didn't flinch, merely tilting his head as he examined the crowd, gauging their reactions. It was as if he was savoring each moment, enjoying the ripple of anxiety he created. "What if I told you there's a better way to fight?" the man asked, his voice smooth yet taunting. "With wealth comes influence, and influence changes things far more efficiently than protests." "Your influence came at the cost of others," Maria interjected angrily, stepping closer to Henry's side. "You profit from the struggles of people like us. You're part of the problem." The stranger's eyes narrowed slightly, calculating. "You misunderstand. I am part of the solution. Your fight has merit, yes, but it's misguided. You all just don't know how to play the game yet." The crowd shifted, some nodding in half agreement, others glaring defiantly. Henry noticed uncertainty creeping back into their expressions. No. He wouldn't let that happen. "What's in that envelope?" Henry asked, his voice unwavering. "Speak plainly. The stranger hesitated, then with a flourish, he opened the envelope just slightly, revealing what lay inside. A flash of gold caught the sunlight, glimmering like the promise of hope. Henry's heart skipped a beat as he saw it was a check that could change everything for the local economy, a windfall that could fund initiatives for families in need. Yet, as real as the paper was, it felt like a trap. "What do you want in return?" Henry pressed, tension still crackling in the air. "You can't just hand out money without expecting something." "Smart boy," the stranger replied, his tone almost admiring. "You see, I don't want your loyalty. All I ask is for you to consider working with me. I can help you get your message out on a larger platform. You'll have influence, power. You may even change the world." The murmurs roared like a storm wave crashing into the shore, and Henry felt pulled in both directions. On one side, the honor of sticking true to their humble roots, on the other, the tantalizing lure of a more potent, effective fight. "What do you say?" The stranger looked over the crowd, a sly smile creeping across his face. Just then, something shifted in the crowd. A father hoisted his daughter onto his shoulders, her little hands making the peace sign, ignoring the money in front of him. She shouted, "We want our voices to be heard, not silenced by cash." A wave of agreement followed, echoing through the air, igniting the crowd once more. Henry felt the warmth of their words. This wasn't about money. It was about connection, authenticity, and the stories they carried in their hearts. Standing tall, Henry stared into the stranger's eyes. "We're not for sale. You may think you hold the power now, but the real power lies within our community. Money can't buy that." The stranger's expression flickered, a shadow of uncertainty crossing his face, only to be quickly replaced by steely resolve. "Well, then. I suppose I'll see how this unfolds." "You can't ignore the stakes, Henry. The game has only just begun," he replied, tucking the envelope back into his suit pocket. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable tension like the hush before a storm. The crowd buzzed with uncertainty, their hopes and fears torn asunder by the gamble laid before them. As Henry looked around, he could feel the duality of their immediate struggle. He had defended their cause, but now it seemed the battle was just beginning. Would they rise stronger together? Or would the temptations of easy solutions break their unity? The thought sent a chill down his spine. Just then, a loud crash echoed in the background, pulling everyone's attention. An unexpected disturbance was brewing, and it buzzed with a foreboding sense of mystery and urgency. What had just happened? And who would rise to the occasion now? The crowd's attention shifted as the crash reverberated through the air. Confusion rippled through the faces of the onlookers. Henry felt a knot clench in his stomach. The stranger's momentary power play had been interrupted, but what loomed now felt even more threatening. "Stay here," he shouted, pushing through the throng of bodies. Maria called after him, but he barely heard her. His heart raced as he made his way toward the source of the sound, the feeling of urgency swirling within him. He rounded the corner of a nearby building and came face to face with a chaotic scene. A small group had gathered around what used to be a delivery cart, now appended on its side. Boxes of food scattered across the pavement while an elderly man struggled to lift one heavy crate. As Henry hurried closer, he recognized the man. It was Mr. Jones, the local janitor. Henry had known him for years, his warm smile and kind words always lifting the community's spirits. Mr. Jones's hands trembled as he tried to dig through the assortment of fruits and vegetables. "Henry. Thank goodness you're here." Mr. Jones breathed heavily. "Some kids knocked it over while playing, and I think we lost most of the food. We need it for tomorrow's meal event for those in need." Henry's chest tightened. This was what they fought for, the community coming together, finding ways to hold one another up. He knew he couldn't let this setback stand in their way. "Let me help you," he replied, falling to his knees and grabbing a crate. Together, they began to gather the fallen produce, laughter among the children from the crowd lightened the atmosphere. Henry glanced up and saw the stranger observing from a distance, his expression inscrutable. He felt heat rise in his cheeks, anger boiling beneath the surface. The stranger had offered easy money, but here was a pure moment, one that couldn't be bought. "Mr. Jones, what's this meal event all about?" Henry asked between exhaling breaths, his hands working tirelessly to throw apples into the crate. "It's something we started in the neighborhood," the older man replied with a twinkle in his eye. "Just a simple dinner for those who've fallen on hard times." "Well, I call it simple, but the heart behind it is everything. Everyone is invited to sit together, share stories, and remind each other we're not alone." Henry's heart swelled. This was it. This was the message that needed to be amplified, the unity that made them strong, the community that thrived on genuine connection. As they finished collecting the last of the food, a voice stepped forward from the crowd. It was the young girl from before, the one who had shouted about voices being heard. "I can help. My friends can help. We can spread the word," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. Henry looked around, realizing this sparked something within the group. Others nodded, pledging their support and offering ideas on how to make the meal event even bigger. The stranger's words temporarily dissolved into the background as they discussed plans and rallied excitement. Suddenly, the thought hit Henry hard: could they somehow incorporate that check after all? If they could share the wealth in a way that built connections rather than hollow transactions. As ideas bubbled amongst the excited crowd, Henry's thoughts drifted again to the stranger waiting at the edge of the scene. What game was he playing? The mystery of who he truly was hung heavily in the air. "Henry!" A voice called him back. It was Maria, standing just a few steps away, worry written across her face. "Are you okay? What is going on?" He turned to her, filled with a sense of purpose. "He may be right about the power of influence. But we need to figure out how to take control of it, how to do this our way." Before Maria could respond, a loud rumble echoed from the crowd. More commotion drew their attention, and a man dressed in a worn, yet stylish suit stumbled forward. "I heard there's a meal event happening. I'd like to offer some help." His voice trailed off as recognition hit him, glancing from Henry to Mr. Jones. Anticipation brimming in his eyes. What could this newcomer want, and how intertwined was he with the stranger? Henry felt the weight of the moment. Each face among the crowd reflected hope, but the stark reality of the stranger's earlier challenge loomed large. The game is changing again, he thought, gripping the crate tightly. But how will we play it this time? With that, he realized the stakes were higher than ever. He must find clarity amidst the chaos. What unexpected link could this new arrival hold in the unfolding story of their fight? Where would it lead? Henry's pulse quickened as the man in the worn suit stepped closer, his expression a mix of nervousness and hope. The crowd grew silent, curiosity hanging in the air. What could this stranger bring to their table, and was it the answer they needed or another complication? "I'm Marcus," the man said, extending a hand toward Henry. "I know you're organizing the meal event, and I'd love to contribute." His voice was steady, yet his eyes flickered with uncertainty, as if he was testing the waters. "Contribute how?" Henry asked, wary but intrigued. He couldn't shake the sense that Marcus's arrival had to do with the stranger standing just out of reach, still watching with an aloof demeanor. "Well, I manage a small catering service, and I can provide food. It won't be much, but I want to help." "I know how tough times can get," Marcus replied, his voice gaining strength as he looked at the crowd. Around him, whispers spread like wildfire. Henry could sense the weight of the moment, a resolve building among those gathered. This was a chance they couldn't ignore. "Thank you, Marcus," Henry said, finally breaking a smile that had felt stuck in his chest. "This will make a huge difference. We can definitely use the support." He turned to Mr. Jones, who nodded with a soft, approving smile. "Food for everyone." the elderly man exclaimed, his voice cutting through the murmur of excitement. It feels so good to see this community coming together. Let us set a time, then, Henry suggested, taking charge, but his gaze flicked back to the stranger, whose cryptic presence weighed heavy on his mind. The more people we can invite, the better. Next Saturday at 5 everyone's welcome. Marcus chimed in, his enthusiasm growing. The crowd erupted into cheers, and the sense of unity washed over them like a warm breeze. But something tugged at Henry. Why had this man come forward now? And what could possibly connect him to the shadowy figure lingering just out of reach? Questions buzzed in his mind, distracting him while excitement filled the air. The crowd began to chatter about the event. Maria nudged him, her brow knit with concern. Henry, are we sure we can trust him? We need to be careful with who we let in. I know, he replied, still watching Marcus as he animatedly spoke to a group of kids. But we can't ignore the good he wants to do. We'll monitor it, and if something feels off we'll figure it out. Just be cautious, Maria warned, her eyes darting to the stranger who hadn't taken his eyes off Henry all this time. We can't let him derail this. Just then, the strange figure turned abruptly and began walking away, disappearing into the crowd. Henry felt an uneasy chill wash over him. Why leave now? Hey! He called out, taking a step after him. But the stranger blended into the masses, and in an instant, he was gone. Turning back to the group, Henry felt a mix of hope and apprehension. Let us get back to planning. Together, we can make this event something special. But as he rallied everyone to brainstorm and collaborate, he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was at play was far from over. The high stakes hovered over them, and he couldn't ignore the looming question: was there a hidden agenda behind Marcus's arrival? And as he pondered the stranger's true intentions swirling in his mind, he felt the weight of the unknown press heavily upon him. What truths lay ahead, waiting to be revealed in the shadow of their good deeds? The week leading up to the meal event was a flurry of activity. Henry found himself buried in organizing, coordinating, and tracking down supplies. Every day felt like racing against time. Yet, amidst the chaos, he couldn't escape the lingering thoughts of Marcus and the stranger who had slipped away. Something nagged at him, an unease lodged deep in his gut. As he discussed the logistics with Maria one afternoon, she leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. You've been on edge, Henry. What's really bothering you? It's just everything feels too good to be true, he confessed, running a hand through his hair. Marcus appears out of nowhere, offering to help. And what about that guy who was watching? Why did he leave so suddenly? Maria nodded slowly, her concern palpable. Let us keep our eyes open, then. Just in case. The day before the event arrived swiftly. Henry stood in front of a makeshift staging area in the community center, with tables being set up and colorful banners hung with care. Joyful laughter echoed around him as kids decorated the tables with handmade crafts. He allowed himself a small smile. The community buzzed with excitement. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a golden light through the windows, Marcus arrived, pushing a cart laden with food trays. Henry rushed over. You made it. Couldn't he let you down, Marcus replied, a hint of nervous pride in his tone as he began unpacking. I hope everyone likes it. Lifting the lids, the aroma of savory dishes wafted through the room. This looks amazing, Marcus. Thank you. Henry exclaimed, feeling genuine appreciation swell within him. The doors swung open, and soon faces of all ages filled the hall, excitement crackling in the air. People shared stories, safe in the knowledge that they were part of something bigger, a moment that could brighten their week. Just as the atmosphere began to rise with laughter and clinking dishes, a movement drew Henry's eye. At the far corner stood the strange man again, hovering just outside the entrance. His expression was unreadable, but the knowledge of his presence sent a chill down Henry's spine. Maria, Henry whispered urgently, pointing. There he is. Her gaze sharpened as she glanced toward the figure, her face tightening in concern. Let us keep an eye on him. If he makes any move toward Marcus. Pushing through the crowd, Henry tread carefully toward the stranger, his heart thumping like a drum. Excuse me. He called out, frustration and curiosity battling within him. The man turned to face him, and for a fleeting moment, doubts crept back into Henry's mind. Can I help you? He asked, attempting to control his apprehension. You're hosting quite the event here, the man said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. A gathering to uplift the community. Very noble. Do you need something? Henry pressed, feeling uneasy under the man's scrutinizing gaze. Before the stranger could respond, a commotion erupted from the food area. Gasps filled the room, and everyone turned as a boy stumbled back, knocking over a tray of food. Chatter exploded into chaos as the dishes clattered to the ground, but then Marcus's calm voice cut through it all. Hey, everyone, it's okay. He raised his hands, attempting to gain control. Help me clean this up, and we'll make it work. Watching the community rally together to help, Henry realized something powerful was unfolding. Beneath the tension, a glimmer of hope shone brighter than ever before. Together, they could face any storm, no matter how brewing on the edges. Just as calm returned and laughter resumed, Henry turned back to the man, fully expecting him to have vanished. But there he stood, grinning almost conspiratorially. You don't know who I am, but maybe you're about to find out. Henry's heart raced. Had the event just taken a turn into uncharted territory? What secrets lay behind this stranger's smile? He felt an adrenaline rush. The night was far from over. As the evening wore on, the initial excitement blossomed back into laughter and chatter, but the strange man remained a shadow in Henry's mind. He could feel the weight of his gaze, like a soft but persistent pressure on his skin. He tried to push through the crowd, hoping the jubilation would drown out his growing anxiety. Each cheerful voice and bright smile around him seemed to radiate a warmth that contradicted the chill from the stranger's presence. Let us take a moment for a toast. Marcus announced, a sparkling drink in hand, cutting through Henry's thoughts. The room quieted, and everyone turned to focus on him. People raised their cups, eager faces alight with anticipation. To community. Marcus's voice rang out, filled with passion. To togetherness. And to those who help us along the way. The cheers erupted, lifting the collective spirit. Henry felt his heart swell with gratitude for Marcus, who had stepped up without hesitation to contribute. When he raised his own cup, he caught the stranger's eye again. The man's smile seemed wider, more knowing now, as if he were silently acknowledging a connection that Henry couldn't comprehend. As the evening unfolded, Henry lost himself in conversations. He spoke with old friends, shared laughter over memories, and felt an unshakable bond with his neighbors. Each story told and each shared plate made the hall seem like a warm embrace. But the stranger hovered in the periphery of his thoughts, a constant whisper of intuition that something was off. Later, as the event wound down, he noticed Maria engrossed in conversation with another community member. He stepped away for a moment, taking a deep breath, trying to shake his unease. Marcus had disappeared into the kitchen, organizing leftovers, and Henry felt a pull to check on him. He navigated through the remaining crowd, the spirit of the evening slowly dimming as people began heading home. As he reached the kitchen doorway, a rush of voices caught his attention. He paused, the laughter morphing into something charged and frenetic. Peeking inside, he saw Marcus and the stranger standing side by side. Can you believe it? The stranger said, an edge of excitement in his voice. This place is truly special. Henry felt his heart sink. What could they possibly be discussing? He lingered just outside the frame of the door, the tension inside the room prickling his skin as the stranger leaned closer to Marcus. Your efforts here could open a lot of doors, the man continued, his tone earnest, almost familiar. You just have to let me help you. A pause followed, heavy with implications. Henry swallowed hard. The stranger's words wrapped around him like a fog. What did he mean? Help? Open doors? The quickest path to panic shot through him. He pushed the door open slightly, making his presence known. Hey, Marcus. Everything all right? Marcus's eyes widened briefly, caught by surprise. He smiled quickly, but there was a flash of uncertainty there. Yeah, all good. He replied, motioning for Henry to come in. We were just before he could finish, the stranger turned. Good evening, Henry. Just sharing some ideas with Marcus on furthering this initiative. Henry's heart raced again, faced with the man's knowing gaze, an impenetrable wall of confidence. It was unsettling, and awareness flickered in Henry's mind something sinister beneath the surface. Maybe I'd better hear these ideas, then, Henry said, his voice firmer than he felt. He stepped inside, the air thick with unseen tension. The stranger chuckled softly, a sound that echoed his initial intrigue, now leaving a bitter aftertaste. Of course. I think you'll find it's quite fascinating. As the words hung in the air between them, Henry felt a wave of nausea. What secrets were buried beneath this stranger's charade? What lay ahead now that he was stuck in this unsettling dance? He took a deep breath, drawing on the camaraderie shared throughout the night. Whatever was coming, he knew he wouldn't face it alone. But the question remained, of what the stranger truly wanted and how it would affect everything they had built together that night. The night was stretching, and the shadows loomed longer. The heart of the evening now rested precariously on the edge of revelation. What was this man's true game? Henry stepped further into the kitchen, the fluorescent light above flickering as if mirroring the tension in the room. The stranger, with his sharp features and confident posture, seemed to fill the space, demanding attention in a way that felt both intimidating and oddly magnetic. Why don't you fill Henry in on what we've been discussing? The stranger suggested with a knowing grin, his back to Marcus, who now wore a look caught between admiration and caution. Henry felt a chill run through him. What kind of help are we talking about? He asked, trying to keep his tone steady. The stranger turned to face him fully. Your community work here is admirable, really. But think bigger. Think of the resources and connections I can bring to the table. Fundraising. Partnerships. Opportunities that could elevate this entire initiative. Wait. Henry shook his head, his mind racing. Are you suggesting we're not doing enough? We built this from the ground up. It's not just some project, it's our home. The words tumbled out, laced with emotion. The stranger's gaze sharpened, as if recognizing Henry's fierce loyalty. I understand that. But sometimes to truly lift a place, you need to think outside the box. I can help you with that. You just need to trust me. There it was again, that insistence on trust, an offer that seemed both enticing and dangerous. Henry's heart pounded in his chest. He glimpsed Marcus's face, caught in a mix of curiosity and skepticism. So you come here, to our event, and just what? Offer your help without asking anything in return? Henry pressed, suspicious of the smooth undertones hidden beneath the stranger's polished exterior. That's the beauty of it, Henry, the man replied, shrugging as if the whole thing were a casual chat. When you possess what I have, helping others is a privilege. We can make a difference together. Henry's eyes narrowed. Could this stranger really hold the keys to everything they had fought for? Or was it all a ploy, a way to manipulate their successes for his gain? Don't forget, Henry, the stranger continued, sensing the unease in the air. Opportunities like this rarely knock twice. Don't you want to turn this place into something that could change people's lives? The weight of the conversation pressed on him, filling the space with a heavy silence. Henry felt as if the walls were closing in. Real change wasn't about seeking monumental shifts or outside help, it was about the organic connections that just felt right. I'm not interested in sacrificing what's real for empty promises, Henry replied finally, his voice low but resolute. The stranger laughed softly, almost mockingly. This idealism is charming, but it'll only get you so far. You don't yet understand the stakes here. He stepped back, assessing Henry with a dispassionate curiosity that rattled him further. Well, maybe you should start understanding us, a new voice chimed in. It was Maria, having come in unnoticed during the exchange. This community is built on trust and togetherness. You want to offer help? Show us you mean it through your actions, not just your fancy words. Henry's heart soared as Maria defended their vision, her presence filling the room with warmth. This was what they had fought for, a community that stood together, unyielding against any force trying to tear them apart. But then, the stranger tilted his head, a smirk dancing on his lips. Very well. If you're not ready to embrace change, then perhaps time will reveal the truth to you. Henry felt a shiver at the implication. The man knew something he didn't, and it scared him. What could be waiting just outside their perception, ready to tip the balance of everything they cherished? As the tension crackled in the air, a sense of urgency began to settle. They had to brace themselves for whatever storm was brewing. Henry glanced at Marcus and Maria, their determination firing up the flickering flame of hope within him. They were in this together. Whatever lay ahead, they couldn't let fear dictate their path. Let us get back to the party, Henry finally said, trying to dismiss the stranger's presence. We can figure this out without any help. As they filed out of the kitchen, the stranger lingered behind, but not before whispering, remember, everything has a price. With the door almost slamming shut behind them, Henry glanced back just in time to see the stranger's smirk fade, replaced by the shadow of something darker. What did he mean? Maria asked quietly, concern etching her features. What kind of price? Henry swallowed hard, the question clinging to the air, heavy with implications. As they stepped back into the fading warmth of the gathering, he couldn't shake the dread that something was about to unfold. Things were changing, whether they wanted it or not. And when the truth came to light, would it strengthen their bond or pull them apart? The party was still humming with life, laughter spilling from the living room where a karaoke machine had become the centerpiece of attention. The bold voices and errant notes seemed to wash over Henry as he tried to sort through the chaos in his mind. Did you see how he was looking at you? Marcus asked, his eyebrows raised in astonishment as they took a spot at the edge of the room. That guy has something up his sleeve. I know, Henry replied, shaking his head slowly. There's definitely something off about him. He acts like he is the savior of the community, but I just don't buy it. Maria leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. It's like he is measuring us, trying to see how much he can pull us apart or bring us together. We have to be careful. Just then, a burst of laughter erupted nearby as someone hit a high note. The catchy song drew eyes from all around, momentarily breaking the heavy mood. It was a welcome distraction, a reminder of why they had worked so hard to create this space. But as Henry scanned the room, his gaze fell upon the stranger who lingered near the snacks, watching them with that ever-present smirk. What if he really does have resources we can't dream of? Maybe he could help us, Marcus mused, but the uncertainty in his eyes told Henry that even he was unsure. Henry clenched his fists, the heat of anger rising within him. And what does he want in return? Just because he waves a golden ticket doesn't mean it's not laced with strings. Guys, look, Maria interrupted, pointing discreetly toward the stranger. He is talking to Esther. Esther, an elder in the community, was beloved by all. The stranger leaned in close, his hands animated, and Henry felt a surge of protectiveness. If that man was trying to exploit her into some deal, they'd have more than just an ideological battle on their hands. Let us move, Henry said quickly, ushering his friends toward Esther. As they approached, Henry felt his heart race not just from the threat of the stranger, but from the warmth that radiated from his community. Maybe the stranger's talk of resources was just that talk. What they had built was far more than a project, it was family. Henry. Maria. Marcus. Esther called, her face lighting up as she spotted them. We were just discussing the wonderful things happening around here. Everything but that, Henry replied, directing his attention to the stranger. We're not interested in deals. Tell him, Esther. Esther's smile faltered momentarily, but then she radiated kindness again. Darling, I'm offering opportunities, the stranger interrupted smoothly, the confidence in his tone unmistakable. Education initiatives, funding. Just a conversation away from revolutionizing your efforts here. Esther's expression shifted as she considered his words, her brow furrowing in contemplation. What's the catch? I believe in investing in community growth, the stranger said, his eyes glinting. But you must be open to new methods. Change is hard, but it's worth it. Before Henry could interject, Maria stepped in, her voice firm. There's nothing wrong with wanting to remain true to ourselves. We won't trade our integrity and relationships for what might seem like easy success. Henry felt a swell of pride as he watched Maria stand up to the stranger, the determination evident in her posture, the tension hung in the air, electric. The stranger's demeanor shifted slightly, his smirk faltering just enough for Henry to notice. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Real opportunities have a way of revealing true character. What did that mean? Henry tried to catch the hesitation in the stranger's gaze. Something felt off, something darker than he could grasp just yet. We'll figure it out with or without you, Henry declared, the conviction in his own voice catching him off guard. As the stranger walked away, leaving a lingering chill in the air, Esther turned to him, concern evident on her face. Be careful, Henry. People like him don't often operate alone. The room felt suddenly smaller, the laughter continuing like a song. They weren't a part of anymore. As Marcus, Maria, and Henry exchanged worried glances, Henry sensed something fierce rising within him. Whatever it is he's planning, we'll face it together. His voice was steady, resonating with reassurance, but a gnawing fear tickled the edges of his mind. Outside, the night was settling deeper, shadows lengthening ominously. What was lurking just out of sight? What secrets bound to surface when those shadows began to unravel? Henry's heart raced again. It was time to brace for what they could not see coming. Would their bonds be strong enough for what lay ahead? As the evening wound down, the laughter and celebrations began to fade, but the tension didn't. In the back of Henry's mind, the stranger's bold assertions echoed like ghosts. He felt a shift within himself, a mixture of determination and fear swirling, pushing him to take action before the tide turned against them. Maria, keep an eye on things, Henry said, a sense of urgency pressing on him. I'm going to talk to Esther about what just happened. A nod from Maria lent him courage as he set off, searching through the crowd until he found Esther gathered with a group of old friends. Esther! Henry called, weaving through the gathering. Her gentle smile greeted him, but he saw a flicker of worry behind her eyes. Can I have a moment with you? Of course, dear, she replied, encouragement lacing her tone. What's on your mind? It's about the stranger. He's offering us something. Henry paused to gauge the reactions of those around them, but it feels wrong. We can't trade our community's soul for a quick fix. Esther's brow furrowed. I sensed there was an allure in his words, something that could lead us astray. Her sincerity felt like a lifeline to Henry. You're right to be cautious. We've worked so hard to build this space based on trust. I don't want to lose that. Exactly. Henry felt a surge of relief. We can't let temptation undermine our mission. It's about the connections we've forged, not flashy deals. The weight of their responsibility clawed at him. They were a team, a family. He couldn't let fear and flashy promises shake their foundation. Just then, Maria approached, a determined look in her eyes. Henry. The stranger's back. She gestured subtly, and Henry spotted the man, lurking as if he was merely another part of the wall. He felt anger ripple through him. They moved closer, and Henry took a deep breath, channeling the warmth of the community that surrounded him. He couldn't blink now, this was their moment. "What do you want?" he shot, voice steady and fierce. The stranger raised an eyebrow, amused by Henry's confrontational tone. "I told you, I'm here to help," he responded, feigning innocence. "And I keep my promises. I can give you wealth and power. Don't you want to reach more people?" A chorus of murmurs echoed from the gathering crowd, a mix of intrigue and skepticism. Henry stepped forward, heart pounding, yet calmness enveloped him like a shield. "We don't need your money. That's not why we're here. We're building real connections based on love and support." "I admire your passion," the stranger replied, his eyes narrowing, "but passion doesn't feed a family, Henry. Do you really think love will solve all problems? Reality is harsher than that." "Maybe," Henry shrugged defiantly, "but our struggles fuel our unity. We rise together. You want us to compromise our values, but we won't let that happen. Not now, not ever." The air grew thick with anticipation. The crowd started to feel the shift, whispering encouragement towards Henry. Yet, he could see the stranger's determination harden. "You think this is over?" he said, a dark glint in his eye. "Just wait. The stakes will change, and you'll have to choose." With those parting words, the stranger turned and walked away, leaving a cloud of uncertainty behind. Silence blanketed the crowd until Esther stepped forward. "You did well, Henry," she said, a proud smile illuminating her face. "Don't let his words shake you. We will rise together. This community is stronger than any external threat." Henry looked around, seeing the support in the faces of those he held dear. Love radiated through the air, enveloping him like a warm blanket. They had something unshakable, something no amount of money could tarnish, their shared spirit, their unwavering resolve. As the final remnants of the event ebbed into the night, he knew deep down, this wasn't just a battle against a man or his offers. It was about defining who they were and the real power of their collective heart. "Let us keep moving forward," Henry called, gathering his community around him. "We've set out to make a difference for each other. We'll navigate through the storms together." Cheers erupted in affirmation, tears of joy streaming down some faces, their spirits lifted. In this bustling corner of New York, amidst the chaos, a profound love bound them all. "Remember," Henry added, "the truest wealth lies within our bonds. That's what will change lives." As they sang and danced, the echoes of laughter filled the night. Their purpose was clear, a unified front, ready to face anything. The stranger had warned of what lay ahead, but now, Henry was ready to embrace every challenge. Whatever was coming, they would stand together, not as mere players in a game, but as a formidable community ready to change the narrative. A sense of urgency washed over him. Now is not the time to hesitate. If you were moved by this story, you need to subscribe now. Don't even wait a moment longer. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and spread these powerful messages further. I want to hear from you. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this journey. And please, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this inspiration. This is the moment to show your support for a community built on love and connection. Don't wait not even one more second to share and spark change.